welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Smash the like button if you love me. Subscribe if you're new. Please have your say. A very warm welcome to Saturday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. First of all, I want to discuss the poor presentation of the Flash movie. John, morning, Mick. A very good morning to you, John. Welcome to Movies TV Mad and Saturday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. So yes, I want to talk about the poor presentation of the Flash movie, the unfinished VFX. When I talk about the poor presentation and the unfinished VFX, I'm not talking about when we see all the cameos in the multiverse. That's the way Andy wanted that to look, and all power to him. I actually love that moment of the film. In terms of the poor presentation of the movie and the unfinished and poor VFX, I do not believe that Andy Muschietti supervised the VFX. I do not believe DJ Desjardins supervised that VFX. I don't know who did, but I know those two men's work, and it's of a fine caliber. So I don't know what went wrong there, but I don't believe DJ or Andy had anything to do with it. Hashling me. Yo, Mike, good morning. Welcome to Movies TV Mad. So, if Andy Muschietti had nothing to do with the VFX supervising, or DJ Desjardins, who's worked with Zack Snyder, who's given us beautiful VFX, beautiful presentation in Zack's movies, what has gone wrong here? I believe Andy Muschietti's The Flash movie has been David Ayer and Zack Snyder. What does that mean? I believe the studio entity, the corporate entity, has interfered with the Flash movie. Sasha Calle shot so many sequences for this movie, and they were all cut. These hypocrites always talk about Latinx inclusion and representation, but Sasha's fabulous performance was cut from this movie. What we saw from her was fantastic. There was loads more. Andy Muschietti also claims he has a 4-hour director's cut. I would like to see that. Hashling me. Did you love it, Mick? I liked it. I was immersed in the movie. Ezra Miller's performance was the best thing. The dynamic he creates between the two Barrys was absolutely fabulous, and that was the strength of the film. Hunter Iggy, Movies TV Mad, what's up? I'm fine. I hope you're all right as well. John, I hope the CGI is good in Aquaman 2. Well, if it's up to James Wan, it will be beautiful. But if they interfere about the many changes in DC, that he has to keep up with. So he's not a happy bunny. But James Wan, first Aquaman movie is beautiful. So, and one of my favorite DCEU movies, by the way. I would like to think that it will be great. James of Crap, lots of people are saying that the Hulk rights are back with Marvel. Also, do you think we will see a 4-hour cut of The Flash? I would love to see a 4-hour cut of The Flash. Where it all goes down the pan, really, it's different to David Ayer and Zack Snyder, because basically, Andy Muschietti has now got his hush money. His hush money is directing Brave and Bold. So he's not going to be speaking out about his disgust about how his movie was interfered with by the corporate entity. This is exactly what's happened to The Flash. The Flash is an immersive movie. The Flash has very great elements to it. The relationship, as I say, between the two Barrys is wonderful. Miller formulates a beautiful dynamic, mentorship, and a friendship between themselves. It's amazing. It's a work of art in terms of an actor's performance, and credit to Andy and Ezra for pulling that off. And that's how I see that. And that's how I see the movie. It is by no means a perfect movie. And the presentation is the worst thing about this movie. Now, let's talk about the box office. The box office is going to be a disaster. They are now saying it's going to finish at a domestic weekend of $69 to $72 million. For a comparison, which the analysts are not doing because it looks bad, in a comparison to Guardian of the Galaxy's Volume 3 opening domestic box office, which was 120 million. And that's just domestic. That isn't global. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 opened up at just under 300 million globally. That's amazing because James wrote and directed a brilliant movie and, you know, gave a finishing point to characters that we've been invested in. The VFX was perfect. James's VFX is always perfect. It works. He edits his own movies. He makes his own movies. So there will be improvement when James takes over these DC movies. The problem is he's saying Blue Beetle is the first entry point to DCU. But the point is that movie was made as a new DCEU timeline movie. So if that movie isn't very good, it's not exactly great for James, Peter, and the new DC universe, but we'll see. John, I think The Flash will release on digital by the end of July. Very quickly, they come out very quickly. And the less successful they are today, like Shazam, that came out ever so quickly. You know what I mean? And I think this movie is going to bomb very, very quickly. So the opening numbers are going to be very low. And as we know, the second weekend is going to be their hitter. It's going to have a huge drop-off. People are not going to go back and see this movie. And there's other movies to come in 2 weeks, which will be 3 weeks into The Flash's run. Indiana Jones 5 will be coming out. Another problem, even though that movie isn't projected to do great, it will interfere with any possible money and uplift the Flash movie will have. Basically, this is another Justice League. This was always another Justice League. The people behind Justice League were behind this movie. James Gunn wasn't part of the production of the Flash movie. When he came in at the end after they made the movie, he gave some notes. He changed the ending from Michael Keaton to George Clooney. We already know that. But the box office is a disaster. Now, I know exactly what they're going to do here. They're going to throw Ezra Miller under the bus and they're going to allow the press to blame Ezra Miller for this whole thing. There is no question. Ezra Miller's antics in the real world have damaged the box office potential of this movie. But it's not all on Ezra. There's a lot of things that are problematic with this movie. Should this have ever been a Flashpoint movie? Should we have used Michael Keaton or Jeffrey Dean Morgan? I believe we should have used Jeffrey Dean Morgan's Thomas Wayne. That's what they should have done. They should have been more faithful to the Flashpoint graphic novel, or don't do the Flashpoint graphic novel. You could have done a very simple solo Flash movie. But this is just the continuing problems of the DC Extended Universe. Now, the past 5 movies haven't even reached 500 million globally. But the one that's done quite well out of all of the past 5 is Black Adam. Not great, but I think it's done the best out of all the others, just over 400 million. Black Adam had better VFX than the Flash movie. It had a better score of the Flash than the Flash movie. I don't like the score for the Flash movie. I think it was very mundane. It was very basic. And I never wanted Benjamin Warfish to do the score for the Flash movie. I never did. John, I would love to see a Flashpoint Batman in the Flash. We should have seen him. We should have seen Jeffrey Dean Morgan. But they wanted, at the end of the day, to bring in Keaton for the nostalgia. But they brought in the wrong Batman for the nostalgia anyway. I think Christian Bale would have uplifted them really, really well. Because this generation know Christian. They don't really know Michael Keaton. James O'Crap, not even 400 million. So basically, right, that's what we're looking at. The past 5 movies haven't even grossed 500 million globally, right? But it was even more embarrassing for this studio they were leaking rumors about this movie. This was the best film since The Dark Knight. Some publications were saying it was going to be better than The Dark Knight. We all laughed because we knew that was not the case. But when you're CEO of a studio and you stand up on a fucking stage and you go, this is the best CBM I've ever seen, then you better make sure this is the best CBM you've ever seen. You obviously haven't seen very many. But he said that, and now he's got a situation where we've seen a movie with very, very poor presentation, very poor unfinished CGI. This is the worst CGI I've seen since Justice League, right? This CGI may be worse than Justice League. It's not good. And if I had anything to do with this film, and I understand how all the departments in making a movie work extremely hard, and it's not my motivation to disrespect people who work in the industry. But if I had anything to do with this movie, I would be really embarrassed. Hashling, me, Mick, do you know the original post-credits scene? Yes, I do, and we can talk about that in a minute. It's actually common knowledge. Blue Beetle Animator. Good morning, Mick. I watched The Flash yesterday. It was okay. Yeah, that's how I felt. The Batman scenes were the best, so I'm glad Andy Muschietti will direct Brave and the Bold. This is what I think. I think Ezra Miller's performance is the best thing about the movie. I thought Keaton was all right. I didn't have an erection over him or anything like that, but he did really well. The Batfleck kind of action scenes were great. But when Affleck's performance as Affleck, as Bruce Wayne, I wasn't really impressed with that. And I felt he was phoning it in. And that's how I see that. But he has been given Brave and the Bold, which is his hush money, because his movie was interfered with. And there's no question about that. Now, Hashling Me raised an interesting point. So originally, there was another post-credit scene. I don't know if there was meant to be more. But originally, they were going to flip the whole BVS thing where we see, after the Nightmare Future sequence, that Barry comes from the Nightmare Future and warns Bruce Wayne about Superman. Well, in this post-credit scene in The Flash, they were going to swap it around for Batfleck doing that. Basically, sending out a warning to Barry Allen, aka The Flash. You've got to find us, Barry. You've got to find us. So in the Flash sequel, they were going to be looking, they were going to have Flash going into the multiverse again, looking for Cavill and Affleck. And that's what his mission was going to be. And that's what the post-credit scene was all about. James O'Crap, do you know Organized Chaos? Well, Warner Brothers have been organized chaos for a very long time. So also, Barbara Muschietti was asked about these rumors about a Flash sequel script being written. She denies that is the case. She's also very angry about the spoiler leaks, and she said in time she's going to reveal who's responsible. So clearly, she's not happy with elements of the corporation at Warner Brothers Discovery. There's definitely a divide in that company. So basically, even though this movie was interfered with by the corporate entity, I feel that was the same for Fury of the Gods as well. They interfered with that movie. I can't believe the same people who made the first Shazam made that Shazam. Then we had Wonder Woman in an awful post-credit scene where Gal wasn't even physically present, and the director lied about that as well. Every time a DC movie is coming, in the past 6 releases, we've all been excited. The same DC stands come out. It's going to be huge. Everyone's going to go to it. It's going to make $1 billion. And again and again and again, it's the same result. Hunter, again, I think it's Michael Dooker and Pam Adby. I don't think Michael Dooker and Pam Adby are responsible for the spoiler leaks, Hunter. I think they're fighting to do their own thing. And I think they're fighting separate to Zaslav to bring Nolan back and all of that. It's definitely a very messed up studio. But let's not make any mistakes. So is Disney, and so are the rest of them. This is the worst era in entertainment history. They are on their creative and financial knees, and there is no question about that. Blue Beetle Animator. This universe hasn't earned the right to do multiverse stories. The main universe was barely explored. Well done, Blue Beetle Animator. They didn't earn the right for nostalgia bait. They didn't earn the right to do a Flashpoint movie. Now, it was always Zach's plan to do a Flashpoint movie, but I can assure you his Flashpoint movie would have been a much more interesting, compelling movie than this was. Because basically, I think Snyder knows how to deal with Miller as an actor. And I don't feel anyone else does. And I think when Snyder has directed Miller, that's when The Flash has been at his best. So let's think about this. His cameo sequence in the first Suicide Squad movie, Miller was excellent as The Flash. It worked. Snyder directed that. Miller as The Flash in a cameo sequence twice in BVS. It worked. It was brilliant. Miller directed by Whedon. Didn't work. Miller directed by Snyder in the Snyder Cut. Worked beautifully. The evidence is there. So Zack knew what he wanted from Ezra. But it's all become very, very messy. And it's a tale of a disastrous end to a disastrous franchise. Snyder had a vision. They didn't want Snyder. Elements of the fan base didn't want Snyder. Elements of the studio didn't want Snyder. And as someone said to me, there was people behind the scenes feeding stuff to the media. They wanted Zack gone. There was an element of people, aka Jeff Johns, that were creating problems for Zack Snyder. So it's been a problem. But Blue Beetle Animator is right. They haven't earned the right to do what they did in this movie. Again, they thought they could cheat their way into a Spider-Man No Way Home movie. But despite all the problems in the past 6 films, because this is a desperate studio, and I'll bring back what I said earlier, this whole thing that this film is the first movie that's as good as The Dark Knight is embarrassing. These people should be embarrassed to show their faces making claims like that. Even I, as knowledgeable and cynical as I am about this industry, was stunned that they were saying this was as good as The Dark Knight, that they were saying that Tom Cruise liked this movie, that all of a sudden Stephen King was posting on Twitter that he liked this movie. Obviously, they were told to do this. It's obvious. James of Crap, Disney has destroyed everything that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, Spider-Man, Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four. I agree. John, what did you think of the Thanos CGI in Infinity War? Listen, basically the CGI in the first 3 phases of Marvel was beautiful and great. It's only when we get to phase 4 that they became lazy, John. But let me say this. None of the dodgy CGI I've seen in the MCU is as bad as I've seen in Justice League and the Flash movie. That's not on. And like we got Matt Ramos Soups going, oh, bad CGI shouldn't, ruin your enjoyment of a film. Okay, it didn't ruin my enjoyment of a film. But it's presentation, Matt. There's no excuses here, my friend. It's despicable. We're paying money to see unfinished presentation. It's like basically saying, hello, thank you for the canvas. I'm going to paint something. Then the person goes, I finished, and the canvas is still blank. What would you think? But I paid you for that canvas, and you didn't bloody paint anything. Look, it's there. Can't you see? No, it's a blank fucking canvas. Do you understand? So the presentation of the Flash movie is simply not good enough. Like all DCEU movies, they're a mixed bag, especially the ones since Snyder left. I can tell you lots of things I liked about this movie. I've mentioned Ezra's performance and dynamic with his past self. It really does work. It's brilliant. they pull it off. Now, a lot of people, aka the fandom menace, will tell you Ezra is annoying. Ezra's annoying in this movie. I get it. His younger self is really annoying. They'll just say that both versions are annoying. They've got no time for Ezra because of their conduct. And I understand that. They never liked Ezra, to be honest, and they don't like Ezra because they are a they, them. And that's what's really behind the disdain of Ezra from the fandom menace. That has to be said. James of Crap, strong arm flex and 4K are not happy with DC. Well, listen, there's a lot of people that are not happy with DC. Listen, fundamentally, if you're an expert in your field, it should be quite straightforward to turn out what you're supposed to turn out. Elementary, basically, it's elementary to make, even if you don't make a well-written film, and that's something that's subjective, your presentation, especially today, and I've said it before, there should be no excuse for bad presentation, bad VFX, bad CGI. They have the funds, they have the technology. The presentation should always be great. Even though a lot of people don't like The Last Jedi visually, basically Rian Johnson's presentation is stunning. It's great, and no one can say any different. But subjectively, a lot of people didn't like the man's movie in terms of its writing and narrative, right? That's different. That's okay. But somebody's presentation with art, especially when you've got the money, especially when you've got the technology, especially when you've got the tools, should be perfect. And what we've seen here is despicable presentation. And there's no defense. It's indefensible. James of Crap, this is the problem with people like John and Grace. John, we will have to see if the CGI is good or bad in Blue Beetle. It looks okay. To be fair, we could see that the Flash had many, many problems in the trailers, John. Going back to the first trailer, when the two Flashes and Supergirl turn up in the Man of Steel desert, it looks terrible, sloppy, unfinished. A close-up on Batfleck in the cow on the bike. He's literally, again, they've shoved his head on the body. Why are they doing that? They've got a stuntman there, probably, and basically they've just put Affleck's head on it. That's terrible. That's not how you do it. Dealing with body doubles, the two Ezras, right? A lot of people said they noticed that one head was put on the other body. That isn't the way you actually do it. What you should do is get two separate performances from the same actor, then put them in. But what they're doing is they're cheating with CGI and shoving their heads, and it looks terrible. It's like, who remembers Max Headroom? It looks that bad. And these people are becoming cheap and amateur. Either it's laziness or there really isn't the funds to make these films look as good as they should be. It's one or the other, but this isn't simply good enough. So the VFX of the Flash movie looked bad from day one, but the Blue Beetle VFX at least looks solid. It at least looks finished. It looks like they've done a good job with that movie. Blue Beetle in the Blue Beetle outfit costume looks amazing. It does look good. So their presentation, at the very least, looks okay. That doesn't automatically mean they deserve credit, right? Their presentation should look good. It's the bare minimum that we should expect from them. You have a job to do. It is not my duty to be faithful and loyal to studios and IPs. It is your job to suck me in with your talented entertainment and art. And if you can't do that, there is a huge problem. I don't owe you anything. You owe me everything because I'm the customer and you're the person servicing the customer. You are a consumer-based outfit. This is what I don't understand when I keep on talking about entitled fandoms. We are paying you for a service, right? You are not doing us a favor, but you're so arrogant and elite and overpaid, you call us entitled. In fact, it is not us that are entitled, it is you that's entitled. We've allowed you to get away with subpar material for too long. All I know is, in terms of Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and the Snyder Cut, the presentation of those movies were beautiful. They were flawless. And the movies were great for me. Now, if you don't like the narrative and the stories and the way the characters were handled, that's subjective and that's up to you. But those films looked epic, and that's the point. The nightmare sequence in BVS is stunning. Some of the best cinematography I have ever seen. It is beautiful because Zack has pride in his art, but this is sloppy. This film was postponed because they said they needed to improve the VFX. They had Machete do a video in the CinemaCon screening saying, excuse this movie, it's not completed yet. They lied. The only incomplete aspect was putting Clooney at the end of this movie. That's it. They told us there was some big surprises in the post-credit scenes and the end of the movie. Wow, what a big surprise. George Clooney and basically Aquaman Momoa being shit-faced and falling on the floor. Oh, yeah. Thank you for those surprises, DCWB and Machetes. That was so good. Thank you for that. Basically, these people are making fun of us. They're giving us the finger. They think we're stupid, and it's embarrassing, right? If you enjoyed this movie and you thought the VFX was groundbreaking and amazing, I didn't see anything in this movie where I say, wow, I've never seen this being done like this. This is amazing. I didn't see that. In fact, DJ Desjardins, the VFX supervisor who's worked with Zack before, was boasting that the VFX would be like something we've never seen before. Yeah, we've never seen it this bad before. But how can you have such a respected VFX supervisor delivering VFX like this? Because I believe DJ didn't supervise this VFX and they merely put his name on the movie. There's another piece of shit going on. If you read the credits at the end of the movie, Ben Affleck isn't credited in the movie. What's all that about? Was Ben Affleck so embarrassed, because apparently he was so proud of his Batman in the movie, was he so embarrassed? Did he say, take my name off the movie? What happened there? It's all very, very strange if you ask me. It's another DC movie, it's another clusterfuck, and it's the fans who get their hearts broken. It's the fans who get let down with an average score, with average VFX, and every other fandom laughing at us as per usual. And it's a shame. So again, we're going to wait for Blue Beetle. We're going to get excited again. We're going to think it's going to do good money, and it's probably going to be the same result. Then we're going to get excited about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. They'll probably tell us both Batman are in that movie to try to create some nostalgia yet again. And it will probably be the same result yet again. And it's really, really sad. Barbara Machete isn't happy about the leaks going on and the spoilers. So we'll see if she does actually reveal who had anything to do with that. And she denies a sequel script. John, at least we have got Joker 2 to look forward to. Do you know what, John? I'm so happy after Lost Kingdom that I don't have to deal with the DCEU anymore, or the drama, or the negativity that Superman Legacy isn't coming out to 2025. We can all focus on Joker Folie à Deux, Joker 2. John, you're right. Because this is a movie no one's going to hate. No one's going to have an agenda about. Snyder fans are going to embrace it. Everyone loves Todd. Everyone loves Joaquin. Everyone likes Zazie. Zazie Beetz, as you all know her as. You know, really good people. You know, Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. It's going to be very exciting. There's going to be no agendas with this movie. You know that this director has nothing to do with James Gunn. James Gunn doesn't get to tell Matt Reeves and Todd Phillips what to do. They will get no notes. They can do whatever they want. My friends, DC Elseworlds is the future. Connected universes, especially with DC, are not. They're problematic. And, you know, James Gunn in an interview with Michael Rosenbaum was talking about the pressure of making a Superman film and building up DC. You don't know pressure yet, James. You do not know pressure yet, James. Once you really get into these films, you're going to feel pressure like you've never felt before. This is what happens when you take on a huge responsibility. And no one, James, I'm sorry, no one, I don't mean this nastily, is going to have any sympathy with you. You've taken on something that a lot of people care about, and it's a responsibility that you've never had before. So you better know what you're doing, my friend, or you are going to be destroyed. James a crap. Hopefully we get the air cut. You'll be lucky. Don't hold your breath. You'll be very lucky to get the air cut. Not that they're not desperate for the money. I'm just wondering, how much money will that even bring in? That's the thing. What is the interest for that film? But I would love to see it. Allowed Zack to do what he was doing, him finish his Free Justice League movies, we would have been in a much better position now. But they didn't do it. Their greed destroyed them. I'll say again, for the past 5 DC movies, since Zack's gone, these movies have been financial catastrophes and they have been torn to pieces, right? And Zack Snyder had nothing to do with those movies. John, Batman Forever cut is more likely. I think they are more likely to release the Schumacher cut because there's no divide between them and the audience. They don't want to prove how toxic they were to David Ayer and Zack Snyder by releasing that movie. The only reason we got the Snyder cut is because John Stank TNT put their hands in their pockets and they were desperate to launch HBO Max. So I know James Gunn says he's going to try and get that done. He's assured David Ayer, but I don't believe a word that guy said. By the way, James Gunn is another one, along with David Zaslav, who was saying the Flash movie is one of the best movies he has ever seen in comic movie history. He lied. And even though I'm keeping an open mind about what James is planning, when people lie to you, how can you trust them? He didn't think the Flash movie was the best thing ever, but he's working for the studio now. He was told to big up this movie, but then there's a lack of trust there from the public. But I do think the Schumacher cut has more chance, and Kevin Smith is really pushing that as well. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But it's another disaster for DC, everyone. I did warn you about this, and we had this conversation over a year ago. Should the movie be shelved? Should they just start again with a new actor? And look, it would have been near impossible to make that film again, right? But, you know, what they could have done, this would have been a lazy thing to do, not get rid of Ezra, but basically all the double scenes with the two Ezras replace with Grant Gustin. That probably would have been slightly easier to do. That would have been harder to do as well. But ultimately, you couldn't start again because basically James was coming in anyway to take over. They knew that. It was before, that was even before they announced it. So there was no point in remaking a Flash movie that they really didn't have much faith in. They just lied about having faith in. But what do you do? Shelve the movie, or do you put it out and pretend you have high hopes for it? What's interesting about the Shazam Fury of the Gods movie, they didn't even pretend they liked it. They've been pretending they liked the Flash movie because they believed the box office potential was bigger. And they were wrong. They tried to sell a mid-movie as something huge. And basically, nobody believed them. The marketing for this movie was the biggest con I've ever seen. I saw it at the time. All the people coming out of CinemaCon bullshitting that this was, you know, the hype is real. This is one of the best movies since The Dark Knight. There was a couple of honest critics who said this ain't the best movie, but it was okay, right? They lied to us. Basically, Access Media, the studio, tried to sell us a dud, and we were too clever for them. The general audience said no. We don't care about this movie. We don't care about the DCEU. We gave the DCEU a chance, and now we're done with it. James a crap. I'm looking forward to Deadpool 3. I'm not really. And Fantastic Four and Avengers 5 and 6. Now, I'm not really looking forward to any of them, to be honest with you. I'm a bit tired. I'm tired of modern entertainment. I'm tired of being let down. I'm tired of being attacked for being a straight male. I'm tired of their extremism. I'm tired of their politics. I'm tired. And that's why I rewatch old stuff that basically, at least the creative said, we want to give you an experience. These people don't want to give us an experience. They lie. They pretend they want to give us an experience, but that's not what they want. They want to take our money by basically performing minimal effort, and that's not right. John, if the Batman Forever cut is released, do you think it will come out in the cinema or go DVD right away? I think they may try a limited release, maybe in theatres, but not like I don't think a general release. I think mostly digitally, HBO Max or Max, another dumb idea by them. And then obviously physical media. If it happens, James. I mean, by the way, there's more money in releasing the Schumacher cut than there is the Ayer cut. Now, the Ayer cut made around 800 million at the time, but I don't believe there's basically, the people who love the Snyderverse and, love David Ayer would, spend money on it, but it's not enough of them. The Schumacher cut, general audiences around the world would absolutely gobble that up and spend more money on it. So there's more money in releasing the Schumacher cut than the Ayer cut. There's no question about that. And I know Snyder fans will argue with me, but that is my belief. That's where my knowledge is. The Schumacher cut would make more money for WB than the Ayer cut. And to release the Ayer cut, it's just something. You're just basically repaying Ayer for his loyalty and keeping his mouth shut during the Suicide Squad. Don't forget, he was supposed to direct multiple Suicide Squad universe movies, and then they just brought in Gunn. Gunn's movie, for one reason or the other, was it day and date? Was it the pandemic? We'll never know. But I know there was a reaction from the studio that Gunn, before he took over DC Studios, was actually only going to be making streaming DC shows and movies because his movie had failed. That was the decision. Gunn started coming out with bullshit that he prefers making stuff for streaming rather than cinema. All of a sudden, he loves cinema again. This is how these people operate. So, as I kind of sit here and feast on the Flash and, fester on the Flash and think about the Flash, it's just another disaster. Who gets hurt? You and me, the fans. You see, what the industry don't understand, they think we're just a bunch of saddos, right? But these things mean something to people. Entertainment is an experience, or it should be. There's a lot of people who have nothing but these characters and these movie releases, right? And, they wait for this stuff. And it's important and it matters to them. Everyone has their windmill, right? Everyone has the thing that they love, that they're passionate about. And really, these studios are just killing, the enthusiasm for these projects. Gavin Troy, I enjoyed the movie even though the CGI was shaky. Well, Gavin, my opinion is basically this. It was an immersive experience, but I think anything you sit down and watch is normally immersive. I normally get sucked in. I think Ezra Miller's performance was the best thing. The dynamic, I'll say it again, the dynamic he created with his, with his other self. I thought their other self, it really worked. Or I could say his because we're talking about the character. But yeah, that is the best thing about the movie. It's not the greatest movie ever, Gavin. It's okay. I didn't hate the movie. Saying I hate the movie would just be me trying to stir the pot. So it's not one of the best DC movies. It doesn't get in my top 5 of the DCEU. It's still Man of Steel, BVS, the Snyder Cut, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman in my top 5. Nothing. Now we're ending the DCEU. Nothing will ever take that over. I like the Suicide Squad. I think it's a good movie. I don't mind David Ayer's or fake David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Shazam's okay. Black Adam's pretty solid as well. But those in my top 5 will never be toppled. There's no way the Flash movie gets in my top 5. And, by the way, as I've said before, my top 5 DCEU composers are number 1, Hans Zimmer, number 2, Junkie XL, and number 3, Rupert Gregson-Williams, who should have composed the Flash movie. He would have done a better job than Benjamin Warfish. John, Batman Forever made $336 million in the box office in 1995. So back then, my friend, that was very good. That's pretty much a $1 billion movie, my friend. Gavin Troy, I agree. It's not in the top 5. Better than most of Phase 4 Marvel films for sure. Yeah, I think like probably the CGI of Phase 4 is slightly better, but you're right. It's better than Thor Love and Thunder. It's better. I can't even think of, it's better than Black Widow. It's nowhere near as good as Spider-Man No Way Home. I thought I was going to hate Spider-Man No Way Home. I just thought it was nostalgia bait. But I must admit, they did take Spider-Man to another level. They reset Spider-Man for a very exciting future. And Tom Holland's Spider-Man was the focus of the movie, as was Ezra Miller's The Flash, by the way. It was an okay movie. It was good in places. I think they wanted to make a good movie, but don't forget this is also a movie that's trying to take us to another direction, set up another timeline. Now, I believe Hamada's Flash movie is better than the Flash movie we saw. I spoke earlier about the Ben Affleck post-credit scene. You have to find us, Barry. That's exciting, setting up this kind of Flash sequel. But what they've done here by swapping Keaton with Clooney, the dumb Aquaman post-credit scene, which was always there, that would have been the second post-credit scene after the Batfleck one. But that Aquaman one was nothing to do with James Gunn. Clooney was James Gunn's doing. There's no question about that. So, Gavin, basically, I don't hate the Flash movie, but it's also not, I think we can say there's things in the movie that I loved. So when we see the cameos and we're in the multiverse, and you can see kind of the planets, like all these worlds converging, and you can see all the cameos staring back at them. I think that's beautiful. Nicolas Cage fighting a fucking spider. Beautiful. So excited about that. You could tell that Andy really feels gutted that we never saw the Nick Cage Superman. I'd love to see that, by the way, even at Nick's age. But that was great. All the cameos were great. I appreciated them. I appreciate that bit. And it didn't really feel like deep nostalgia bait. It actually felt emotional as they stared back. And Barry's going, look, they're, we're destroying everything. And it's very emotional. Now, you have to question the decision not to have Reverse Flash in the movie, an iconic villain. They went with Black Flash. He was okay. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't really a villain. He was just younger Barry, who's really another victim of the situation. And then Zod, unless you've seen Man of Steel, you really don't understand what Zod's doing in that movie. There is no explanations. Really, it's a film for DCEU fans. So it's a problem. There are many, many issues with this movie. It's just there. It's gone and done before you know it. And it's odd. But I did sit there and think, yeah, I like this. This is okay. I didn't like the babies falling out the hospital. I'm not going to lie. I'm very protective of children as an uncle. And I thought that was the CGI was terrible. And they made babies falling out of a window a joke. I mean, is that funny? And look, normally I don't get triggered and I don't start an offended thing. But I must admit, throwing babies out of a window, shoving a baby in a microwave and then hearing the microwave bell like the baby's just been microwaved. Obviously, the baby wasn't, because there's no electric where the microwave was. But yeah, it wasn't fun. And some of the kids, listen, it's just really funny that we've got these people in this industry today who attack straight males. They say this, they say that, but they do dumber shit than the so-called patriarchy ever did. James a crap. John, Doctor Strange 2 or The Flash? I personally think Doctor Strange 2. I thought Wanda was a very dark, deep, brutal villain. It worked. I did enjoy that film. I know people didn't like it because they didn't get the cameos they wanted, but I actually liked the VFX and I thought it was a good movie. And I know people like Mauler have torn it to pieces and things like that. But at the end of the day, I don't look deeply at movies. I don't really notice a lot of stuff that these people do. I watch a movie. So as long as I kind of get what's going on. So I thought Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness wasn't a bad movie like everyone said it was. It's actually one of my more favorite movies in the DC Extended, not the DC Extended Universe. It's one of my better favored movies in Marvel Phase 4. I think that Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness isn't a bad movie, in my opinion. Benny Cumberbatch was great, as Benny Cumberbatch always is. I think he's too good an actor to be in Marvel movies and CBMs personally. I love him in Sherlock, and I think he should be doing more kind of actor kind of things anyway. But I do like that movie, and I prefer it to The Flash, yes. James and crap, but why can't they just sell Aircut to Netflix? They can, but Netflix aren't going to pay that much for it because they know it's not going to bring many people to the platform. Like like if they sell the Schumacher cut to Netflix, that's a bigger deal. They'll make more money. But basically, listen, I don't know if they'll do the haircut. I can't see it. They may surprise us. They are desperate. Like all these studios are desperate right now. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not Nostradamus, James. I'm afraid I can't assure you that the haircut will be released. As I say, I want to see that movie. I prefer to see that movie and the Schumacher cut than any new CBM. As I say, I'm tired. I'm so tired of modern entertainment, of modern Hollywood. I am done. They say the same old shit. They act like victims. Poor me, I'm a billionaire. Poor me. I'm just bored of them. Gavin Troy, just ready for the rest of the DC films this year. I already know Blue Beetle won't be a box office smash hit, but I will probably enjoy it. It's an origin story, not much to live up to, going in low. Yeah, Blue Beetle is a character that no one in the general audience, Gavin, knows anything about. So as DC fans, I think sometimes we're a little bit arrogant and say, yeah, it's going to make so much money. There's no other movie in its way. And everyone's going to come in just because we're going to support the shit out of it because we're DC fans. It doesn't mean everyone else will. Because general audiences, right, when they say this whole DC fans on the internet, DC fans in the theatre, it's bullshit. DC fans are supporting DC movies. Well, apart from the Snyderverse fans who are still angry, of course. But it's the general audience who have no interest in watching DC movies. And this is a big reason why they're failing. General audiences didn't like Man of Steel, didn't like BVS, didn't really like the Suicide Squad, although I think they were interested in Harley and the Joker because any movie that the Joker's in is normally successful. The record of the Joker in live action DC is actually great. You put the Joker in the movie, you probably make at least $800 and $1 billion. The Suicide Squad, The Dark Knight, the Joker movie, Batman 89 didn't make $1 billion then, I think. But if you swap the money about for modern money, I think Batman 89 probably made well over $1 billion. So they're always very successful if you add the Joker in. And Todd Phillips saw that. That's why Todd Phillips made his first kind of, DC, black label movies about the Joker because he's the most important character. He didn't necessarily have a lot of knowledge on the Joker or love for DC, but he knew that, comic CBMs are the trend today, and he used the Joker to make a really good film, and it worked. So I can't wait to see Joker Folie à Deux. By the way, I believe Joker Folie à Deux isn't totally a musical. Now, Zazie Beetz has been talking about how she's in Joker 2, but she's not in Deadpool 3, by the way, which I think is a shame because I love Zazie Beetz. I think she's amazing. Really nice girl too. And she's saying that she loved, being with Lady Gaga, very professional. The songs are great, but it's not the kind of musical that we think it's going to be. I think that Lady Gaga explained this the best. When they're doing the love story, they're going to be in a daze and it's going to be a musical. But outside of that relationship, I don't think there's going to be any music. But I am excited. Hopefully Hilda is doing the score again, she gave us a compelling score the first time around. Very few female composers out there, working in Hollywood. Now, I ain't a woke guy or anything, but I do think that's kind of disgusting because a woman can compose music as well as a man, right? It's a bit weird anyway. So anyway, Hilda gave us a great score for the first film. One of my favorite comic book movie scores of all time. Sometimes if I'm feeling a bit mad, I listen to it and I do the whole Joker stuff. It's an actor's thing, right? But yeah, and so hopefully Hilda's doing the music again. And obviously we're going to get some songs from Lady Gaga. This film is going to be massive. And so we've got Blue Beetle, as Gavin says, and we've got Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, unless they shelve it. That movie is in a perilous position right now from what I'm hearing behind the scenes. I will, of course, keep you updated on the fate of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. But as I keep on saying, I'm tired. I'm tired of creative bankruptcy. I'm tired of divided fan bases. I'm tired of going on Twitter and everybody having their take. I'm just so bored. I was listening to John Williams' Superman the movie score. Really loud, speaker system, beautiful. And I'm thinking, wasn't it nice that people went into the cinema? No agendas. They watched the movie. They watched the first superhero movie ever. and they enjoyed it. And it was great for them and they had a good time. It must have been a magical experience. And today, everyone's got a side. Everyone's got an agenda. Of course, movie and entertainment fandom is toxic. When you start introducing movie maths and, critic scoring and grades for movie theatres, it's basically everyone measuring their willy to see who's got the bigger willy. And it's become like supporting sports. It's become very toxic. It's been, we won. That's the environment we have. Now, this was working for the industry during the peak of the MCU, but now it's starting to bite them on the bottom. It's biting them on the arse now, and they're in a lot of trouble because of it, because it's become territorial, movie fandom, and it's become very problematic. It is so toxic. The other day, James Gunn responded to all the accusations of him slaying Jesse Eisenberg's performance as Lex Luthor, and he said, it's like people are looking for excuses to be offended. Well, you should know, James, because your industry is exactly like that. You're trying to remake every single movie, trying to rewrite history. They're now remaking Ghost because apparently they didn't represent certain minorities well. Up yours. You will never, ever make a better film than that Ghost movie, right? I don't care if they had like a black woman as a con artist who was pretending to be a fortune teller. I don't care if the Latinx guy was a criminal. I couldn't care less. They all performed great. It was a great movie, and you are never, ever going to outdo that original movie. I will not touch your shit, you extremist shitheads. I've had enough. I've had enough of the division, the toxicity. All I want to do right now, after I finish this video, I will probably put an episode of Lost on. I'll make a cup of tea. I'll make a sandwich and I'll relax. Sometimes I even play the Lost Season 1 soundtrack. John, I always like the final shot of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. Well, again, so simple. Now that's controversial. Even him smiling's controversial. But as a kid, I came home from school. I've been bullied yet again. I watched the end of that movie. He's smiling at me. He's literally smiling at me, man. He's telling me, I'm Superman. It's going to be all right. That's who Superman is. That's why I love him, because he's a good, pure, open-hearted guy, and he's fucking cool. He's got powers. He can fly. People say that's not relatable. It's damn relatable to a kid who's got mental health problems, who suffered with dyslexia, still suffer with these things, by the way. It meant everything to me. Don't tell me Superman isn't relatable, because he damn well is, and he always will be. Hashling, me and Mick, how many DC movies this year? So we've had Shazam, Fury of the Gods, haven't we? We had the Flash movie, we're getting Blue Beetle, and then we should be getting Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, unless that changes. And the only place you'll hear about it first is here on Movies TV Mad. We're all over entertainment news. If there's other entertainment stuff that breaks, that interests me, of course, we will talk about it, because that's what we do here. We mainly focus on DC live action because I have a bit of an audience for DC live action. But it is my hope and my dream to be able to talk about other entertainment, review episodes of classic films, classic TV series, even soaps like Dallas, Dynasty, The Colby's, Knots Landing, the British soaps. I want to expand the channel. After all, I'm called Movies TV Mad, and I am mad about movies and TV, but not the modern stuff. I'm afraid the titans of industry have left the building, and we're just left with a bunch of nut jobs that make a movie like Barbie. Who told you? Who wants a Barbie movie? Tell me who wants a Barbie movie. Who? A bunch of 50-year-old geezers. I mean, I'm 50, I don't want it. But all the people getting excited about Barbie seem to be old men, blokes. Now, I'm not saying boys can't like Barbie. That's not it. I never said, I don't have that opinion. That's a stupid opinion to have. What I'm saying is it's a bit weird for men in their 30s to 50s to be obsessed with a movie about Barbie. This is a toy that's not relatable to girls or boys anymore. It's gone. They're on TikTok. They're on YouTube. Why are you making this movie? It doesn't actually make any sense. It doesn't. And the fans of this movie, oh my God, they're so annoying. And you so know if this film's successful, they're going to be so annoying online. Hashling me. Mick, are you going to watch Oppenheimer? I will watch Oppenheimer. I'm a fan of art. I'm a fan of auteur directors, Hashling me. And Christopher Nolan didn't go to drama school. He didn't study this game, but he's a damn good storyteller, and he's given us such great things. Batman Begins, one of my favorite films by him. The other Batman movies are great, but Batman Begins is my favorite. The film when everything, when the guy's got amnesia, I love that film as well with Guy Pearce. Sam Dejan reviews. Oh, look who it is. I want a Barbie movie. People said the same thing about the Lego movie and they didn't want it, yet they made it work. Right, Sam, if you want to go and watch a Barbie movie, that's up to you. I just think it's weird. Barbie isn't relatable anymore, right? It's a kid's toy that's not relatable. Kids are dealing with tech today. As I say, TikTok, YouTube, this, that, the other. Where's the interest? And I think it's a bit weird that men 30 to 50 are the only ones obsessed with this movie. And I mean, deeply obsessed. So I don't get it. Now I can understand maybe if the gay community, right, are into this. And this might be a good kind of franchise for the gay community. I get that. And peace, man. But I don't get the hype around this movie. And it's even worse, it's a feminist movie. Sam Dejan reviews, Barbie is relatable. What are you talking about? It was relatable in 1960 to 1980. We're in 2023, Sam. Get out that time machine, mate. James and Crap, Sam Dejan reviews is just here to cause trouble. Yeah, he's a troll. The man's a troll. It's okay. And I'm lapping it up. I love it. I love it. I mean, look, to be honest with you, I can press a little button and he disappears forever. I really could, but he don't trigger me that much. It's just boring. Because he's just a person who's trolling, who says the opposite all the time. Sam Dejan reviews. The same thing happened with Lego movie. I remember people said it was a stupid idea, yet everyone liked it. The difference is with Lego, they actually made characters and interesting things. This is just an extreme left kind of inclusive movie. We've got to have a white Ken. We've got to have a black Ken. We've got to have an Asian Ken. And we've got all these different Barbies, and it's boring, and we know exactly what they're trying to do. Listen, Sam, if you're going to enjoy this movie, whoever's going to enjoy this movie, I love you. Good luck to you. I just think it's weird that men 30 to 50 are basically getting erections over this movie. John, did you like the Barbie Girl song? Oh, I love that song. Not because I'm into Barbie. And that's different, isn't it, John? It's a song. It's a tune. You get into it. But I wasn't obsessed with it, John. I wasn't masturbating while listening to it or anything. I wasn't getting overexcited like these fanboys are today over a movie about a doll. As I say, I'm not one of these guys who thinks boys can't play with dolls or anything like that. All I'm saying is it's weird. It's a weird trend. I just don't get it. Really, I shouldn't be part of this world today. I should be on my own planet, my own island. I should go on Oceanic 815, go on the Lost Island, and just sit there and chill out. Because this world ain't for me, man. This world is full of effing lunatics, as far as I'm concerned. I don't understand the world we live in. I don't understand the division. When there's people starving and getting murdered and dying, and we're arguing about films and Snyder and Gunn and this, it becomes a waste of energy. I mean, we're wasting our oxygen. We should be enjoying movies, but we can't enjoy movies because the people who are supposed to be making them don't make good entertainment anymore. So we can't even enjoy them. Now we've got people shitting on the stuff we used to watch, right? Well, up yours. It's all about rewatches for me, classics. That's all I care about because I have no trust in this stuff. Anyway, your DC Universe headlines for today. The box office for the Flash movie is a disaster. It's now coming in. Projections are coming in for this weekend. It will range from 69% to 72. Let me say it again: 69 million to 72 million for the opening domestic weekend. That's terrible. The comparison is Guardians Volume 3, which opened up to 120 million, and that's just domestically. Now Guardians 3 has got over 800 million globally. The Flash movie won't reach that. In its wildest dreams, it's going to reach that. It's never going to happen. So it's a disastrous box office. And they were going around saying this was better than The Dark Knight, so they could make $1 billion, maybe even $2 billion. They were dreaming, mate. They were having wet dreams about this movie. And basically, audiences said, we know what you're doing. We're not stupid. Make good stuff and you'll make good money. Stop making bad stuff because you won't make no money. You cannot cheat your way to success. You are like Arthur Daly or Dylan Rodney. You're a bunch of con artists trying to sell us a load of shit. Ashling me, will it make worse than Ant-Man 3? Well, Ant-Man 3 had a better preview. I think the opening preview box office for Ant-Man 3 was about 17 million, and people were making fun of it then. Basically, the Flash movies previews were 9 million, which was better than recent DCEU movies, but being better than recent DCEU movies isn't great. I mean, let's see where it finishes. But the problem is, Hashling me, if you open up to 70 odd million, don't forget the following weekend, everyone gets a drop off, right? The successful movies have a small drop off, and the not so successful movies have a big drop off. This movie will have a big drop off, no question about it, next week. So its potential will be gone. This is the time, the opening weekend. Everyone should be excited. You know, records amount. It should be 200 million opening in America. It should be huge, right? It's a Flash movie, right? It's the bestest movie ever. Oh, Stephen King loves it, right? Tom Cruise loves it, right? The money should be rolling in. But that's not what's happened because the whole thing was bullshit. They made a movie to move away from the Snyderverse, and the karma has come to find them. It's as simple as that. Karma is a beautiful thing. I don't want DC movies to fail. I love DC. I want all these movies to be great, and I want them to be successful. And even when they're not successful, even when they're not good movies, I don't mind them being successful. But the audience today are too smart. They are fed up with mid movies and mid CBMs and mid cameos and mid, like Easter eggs and shit like that. I've had enough of it. You've had enough of it. For me, the future of CBMs are movies like both Joker movies, both Batman movies, the Penguin series, and Arkham. That's the future. These connected universes are just not going to continue to work. People have had enough. Gavin Troy, I wonder if the film will do better on streaming. I heard people at the cinema saying they will watch it on Max. The problem is, Gavin, the real money is the theatrical release, right? That's where the money is because you make your big money. For example, let's say you make 2 billion on a movie. Then you go on streaming on Max, right? And then obviously the sponsorships, that's good for them on Max. Then they sell it digitally. Then they sell it on physical. Then they sell it to other streamers. But basically your foundation is your theatrical money. You need to be successful there, so you use that as a financial foundation. Without that foundation, it doesn't, popularity on streaming doesn't make up for poor box office. And that's the problem, Gavin. James of Crap, are you going to do a video review Sam Dejan reviews? John, maybe they should do more DC animated movies. I was just part of. I thought I heard someone come in my house. Right. Maybe they should do more DC animated movies. Well, James Gunn is looking to do like that one with the team in it is going to be animated. He's going to use the same actors in the animated movie if he brings them to live action. Gunn has got some interesting ideas. I'm intrigued by the authority. I'm intrigued by his ideas. He talks a good game. He's speaking the truth about comics not selling, about CBMs. So I'm hoping, as someone who has knowledge, that he can do something special. But seeing what's happened with all these films, it doesn't give you a lot of confidence. All we can do is wait and see to see what Gunn does. But the truth is, Gunn does create solid movies. Even though the Suicide Squad failed, it was a good, entertaining, solid picture. The Guardians trilogy were great. The Scooby-Doo movie he did was great. I think he wrote it and didn't direct it. His stuff is good. He's going to produce an Acme Roadrunner movie as well. He's a big kid. So even though there's an agenda against him right now, I am open-minded and hopeful. But he ain't going to do dark, deep, dark dives. He's going to do stuff that is a bit weird. For example, at the end of the Flash movie, and this is something that Gunn must have written, this was part of his notes because it was a Clooney scene. And you've got Ezra Miller, you've got the Flash Barry Allen going, who the fuck is this? Now, I'm assuming kids and families were at that movie. Was there any need to have Barry Allen swearing all of a sudden? Because there was no really much swearing in the rest of the movie. And this is what you're going to get with James Gunn, by the way. You will get swearing in these movies. He did it in Guardians 3. He does think that's clever. Sam Dejan reviews. I like the Flash movie for what it was. The movie is a build-up of bad management. I agree. That's why the movie isn't doing well. It's not about the movie being bad. I agree. Hashling me. If the Batgirl movie was not cancelled, Keaton would show up instead of Clooney. Well, that was the plan by Walter Hamada. He was going to be the new Batman in the new DCEU timeline. So he would have been not only in The Flash, Batgirl, he would have been in Blue Beetle. Someone told me about that from the production of the film. Definitely he was going to be in that. And in the test screening I saw of Aquaman and Lost Kingdom, he was in that movie. And I don't want to talk about it because I don't think we're going to see it now, but I liked it. I like Michael Keaton. He's not my Batman, by the way. I don't get an orgasm about seeing him again because if I want to see Michael Keaton in great Batman fare, I could just put Batman 89 and Batman Returns on. So that's why I say I don't get overly excited about these cameos and this nostalgia bait. But I never was able to see Nicolas Cage as Superman. So in fact, I got more excited about seeing Nicolas Cage as Superman in the Flash movie than seeing Michael Keaton as Batman. John, Brightburn was also good. Yeah, he produced that movie, didn't he? Yes, I like that movie. It was solid. I wouldn't watch it. I've got it on physical, but I wouldn't watch it again. But it is a cool movie, and it's interesting commentary actually on Superman in a way. Although I'd rather Superman be the lovely, pure-hearted character he's always been. James and Crap, Sam's Reviews called you a toxic Snyderverse fan. That's okay. It doesn't matter. James, please. It's not gonna annoy me. I don't care. Things like that are childish. I'm not interested. If he thinks I'm a childish Snyder fan, I don't believe that's who I am. I'm a DC fan who happens to appreciate Zack's work. He can. I think everyone who appreciates this platform, who appreciates me, knows me a bit better than that. So Sam can say whatever he wants. That's what's great about being in a democracy. But I don't want people coming in and saying, this one said that. I don't care. When you have a platform, people start getting upset with you because we all have different opinions, right? So peace. I'm not interested in this toxicity. If he wants to go off and call me names like a child, that's up to him. I'm not going to get involved with that. Life's too short. I'm a very chilled out guy. I like chilling out. I love women, as I've told you before. I love the good things in life. I love nice food. I love great movies and TV. I'm a very chilled out guy. And I really don't have the energy because I have a life. I haven't got the energy to have wars with people. If they want to have imaginary wars with me, behind my back or in front of me, it really doesn't matter. It is irrelevant. Hatchling me. I didn't recognize Helen Slater's Supergirl, lol. It was weird because the light was in her face, wasn't it? But I'm glad. I loved Helen Slater's Supergirl. So I loved seeing her. I loved all of that. I thought that was great. I mean, it looked a bit strange, but at least that was the way he wanted it to look. That wasn't unfinished VFX, but there's a lot of unfinished VFX in that movie, guys and girls. And I don't think it had anything to do with Andy or DJ Desjardins. I don't think they were supervising the VFX. I actually think they had work experience for the blind for a day or for the week. And maybe that's the explanation because I really don't understand what happened there because the presentation is despicable in that film. It's not a bad movie. It's not a great one either. It's another inconsistent DC movie. For example, Black Adam's VFX is stunning. Black Adam's soundtrack is better than the Flash movie. I didn't like Benjamin Wilshaw's score. I thought it was very mid. Hashling me. Do you like the baby shower scene? No, I don't. And I can't believe that basically Warfish actually has got a piece of music titled Baby Shower. No, I thought it was in poor taste. I don't think babies falling out of a hospital window is funny, Hashling me. But I am protective of children. I think most of us are. And even though they weren't real babies, I didn't understand it. I didn't see it because it's clearly supposed to be a joke. It's supposed to be humour. It's like the terrible thing. They nicked that gag, that lasso gag from Justice League. And this time it was Batfleck instead of Aquaman. I must admit it was actually kind of good. It kind of actually worked in Justice League. It doesn't work here because basically Affleck is not very good at comedy. Didn't work. It was another shit cameo by Wonder Woman. Smug smile. Not the Diana I grew to love in BVS in the first Wonder Woman movie. And that's disappointing. Gavin Troy, I wonder if comic book movies' budgets will become lower. Well, they seem to be that way already. I mean, the Flash movie doesn't look like a film really that cost 300 million. With a lower budget and creativity, there's a better chance of returning profit. Well, Walter Hamada was very good at this, Gavin. He made cheaper movies that still looked good. Shazam VFX was pretty good in the first movie. I mean, some of the creatures were a bit ropey, but it kind of worked. So that had a low budget. Joker had a very low budget, under 100 million to make $1 billion return. If only Warner Brothers had faith in that film and they didn't co-finance that film, it would have been even better for them. But they still made a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I think the best way forward, look, I think it's about quality, but I think they don't have the money. They've lost so much money. They've gambled on streaming and they've lost money. They're all on the verge of bankruptcy. They're on the verge of destruction because of their politics, their extremism, their bad decision-making, and driving out the titans of our industry and bringing in extremists who don't know what they're doing. They're in a lot of trouble right now, Gavin. But if they had the money, my advice to them is less VFX shots. Please, less VFX shots. Here's an interesting thing. In Superman the movie, we have teenage Superman running after a train, racing a train. So you can do fast running physically, right? In camera, as Dick Donner did. Now take that scene there and imagine what they could do with the stuff today. All you do is you do it physically and you just touch it up with CGI. I think physical shots should just be touched up by CGI. That's where the quality comes in. There is too many VFX CGI shots these days. And a lot of times it doesn't need to be CGI, but it's laziness. And they're obsessed with that tech, right? And now it's going to be AI. This is the problem with this industry. They just don't get it. We need less VFX shots. James O'Crack, do you think my review, Aaron Fisher, will phrase James Gunn? I don't understand. Actually, mate, I didn't know why Batfleck had an awkward gesture even after he untied that lasso. It was terrible. It was terrible. Again, it was like his smile in Justice League. It's amazing, Hashling me. The mistakes they made in Justice League, they made in this movie again. Because guess what? It was the same damn people, right? The people who tried to recycle Snyder's Justice League movie, they did what they did in Justice League, and they did it again here. And I don't mind people making mistakes in any walks of life. I've made mistakes. But people who make the same mistakes, people who are supposed to be experts, top of their field, making the same mistakes, it's embarrassing. This is a $300 million movie, and you've got Batman grinning after the things come off of him. It's embarrassing. The VFX on the babies is embarrassing. The VFX of the two Barrys and Supergirl running in the Man of Steel Desert or turning up in the Man of Steel Desert, it's embarrassing. They didn't even touch it up. Sometimes when people call out bad CGI, I think, what are you talking about? It looks good to me. But this time, it was blatantly bad CGI. James O'Crack, do you think my review, Aaron Fisher, will Foge? No, I don't understand what you're saying, James. You're saying Foge. What does that, James Gunn? Forgive James Gunn, but there's nothing to forgive. I mean, he retired Henry Cavill, if you're asking that. I believe, even though the way Henry was treated was disgusting, and I genuinely love Henry as Superman, I think James Gunn is the new boy in town. He wants his own Superman. I get it. I don't really care about Aaron Fisher anyway. Do you know what I noticed about him and many people on YouTube? I hate it when they're going to do a review or something and they talk really slowly to waste time because they really don't have much to say about the movie. By the time he did his non-spoiler flash review, he had 2 minutes of talking about the film. And he was talking very slowly just to waste time. But I'm too clever, you see. I just switch off. As you can see from my channel, I get straight to the point and I'm not here to waste anyone's time. And that's the point. So yeah, I can see what you're doing there, Aaron, my friend. It's pretty blatant. Yeah, you have to be a good actor to trick me, mate. Hashling me, the director said the CGI thing was on purpose. Well, correction, Hashling me. He said the CGI stuff for the cameo part, the multiverse part, was done on purpose. He wasn't talking about the rest of the movie. He was talking about Barry Allen's perspective. That's what he was talking about. James a crap, but I feel bad for him. Who do you feel bad for, James? Who do you feel bad for? If you feel bad for that YouTuber, he's making money, my friend. He's actually making money. Why don't you feel sorry for me? I'm not making any bloody money out of this. I'm doing this for free. I do everything for free. I'm so charitable. Why are you feeling sorry for him? That guy gets a lot of views. I don't get that, James. I really don't understand. We're going to have to wrap up today's DC Universe Daily because, because we're going to be back tonight and we're going to be talking randomly about anything you want to talk about. So I'll be back around 8 p.m. UK time tonight. Hashling me, his perspective on Speedfall stuff, that's correct. Leroy Kong, hello Mick, hello guys. I think The Flash is a great movie. I'm glad to hear you like it. So everyone, as I said earlier, the headlines today are, and I'd love to be with you. I would love to be with you here all day, but this was only meant to be my magazine show, the DC Universe Daily. It's a daily show. We do it every day. We're going to be doing it live until I get bored of doing lives again. Let's hope no one makes me get fed up of doing lives again. But anyway, our headlines today are that I don't believe the problems with VFX and CGI in the Flash movie are anything to do with Andy Muschietti. And that's a strange thing to say, considering he directed the movie. I think something else was going on behind the scenes. And I also believe VFX supervisor Des Jardin, DJ, also wasn't supervising VFX. Both their work is impeccable. I don't believe these men had anything to do with the problems with the presentation of the film. They must have had other less qualified people involved in doing that. The film's box office is going to be very low for the opening domestic and global. I will keep you apprised of that decision as well. Barbara Muschietti, the sister of director Andy Muschietti, is disappointed with the leaks and the spoilers from the movie, and she's going to reveal eventually who was responsible for that in the studio. So that should be interesting as well. She's really mad about that situation as well. And she also claims there is no script for a Flash movie sequel, as is been reported. Now, I think there may have been a sequel or, a final Crisis on Infinite Earth story, because Zach even teased that. Remember the turkey? Zach knew. Zach's ruthless, mate. Zach's funny the way he did that. He had a turkey, then he had the graphic novel behind. That was so funny. James a crap. Good stream. Hashling me. What's the rating for The Flash? Mine is 7 out of 10. I think 7 out of 10 hashling me is very fair. I would be 5 to 7. I mean, as I say, while I was watching it, I was immersed. I was interested. I thought that Ezra did really well with the two characters. As I've already said, I think that's the best element of the movie. I loved the cameos. I don't think they were, badly done, nostalgia bait. And the Nicolas Cage thing, the ticket price was worth it alone for seeing Nicolas Cage as Superman. From the time I heard Burton was making a movie about Superman, basically a doomsday movie, basically the famous Death of Superman movie, Nicolas Cage as Superman, one of the biggest Superman fans in the world. I always wanted to see that movie. And I was so disappointed because we were going to get the Tim Burton DC universe. We had his Batman, we were getting his Superman. They would have been part of the same universe. And it's a tragedy that never happened. And to see that in film even though it's a Flash movie and I should be more excited about the Flash. I thought that was epic, that was awesome, and I'd love to see that movie. And I definitely want to see the 4-hour director's cut. I would definitely buy every version of that if I could. But I can't see it happening because basically Andy Muschietti has taken his hush money, his 30 pieces of silver, and it's the Brave and the Bold movie. He's directing the Brave and the Bold movie, so he's got what he wants, so he's not going to make a fuss, but maybe the studio will reward him. And just one more thing to think of. We all think Sasha Calle did really well, even though they cut a lot of her good stuff out, which was really hypocritical, considering this is the industry that talks about representation and inclusion. But think on this. If Andy Muschietti is now directing Brave and the Bold, maybe because he was the one who cast her, by the way, maybe he insisted she remains as the DC Universe Supergirl. I hope so. Nothing would make me more happy. I think she's a great kid. Her dreams come true. She's a big Supergirl fan. She's been dressing up as Supergirl since she was a child. It will be something I would be very happy about. This has been Saturday's edition of the DC Universe Daily with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wife. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you tonight for our general live chat about 8 p.m. UK time. Be there, be square. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. See you later. Thank you very much, everyone. I've really enjoyed our chat as I enjoy all of our chats. Bye for now. No, wrong button. See you later.